Casper Cloud, the one central place for managing your practice and workflow securely, is back with yet another release. Wondering what's new? Let's have a look at the latest changes in ISRS Agreed-Upon. ISRS Agreed-Upon is our streamlined Agreed-Upon procedures engagements app, which now includes content for legal practitioners and property practitioner trust accounts. ISRS Agreed-Upon also now have a brand new logo to fit in with the Casper brand. Let's take a look at what's new. First of all, looking at features, then some fixes, and then the addition of content within the legal practitioners, which is coming on the 15th of June, as well as the property practitioners, which is already available in this beta release. When you create a new file, you can now choose between our previous versions and the new 2023 version. You can also choose to carry data forward from some of the other engagement files already created. You can now quickly select the name of the entity from the engagement properties pop-up to quickly navigate to the entity on the cloud site. So within the engagement properties pop-up, I can select the entity and it will open the entity properties for me so that I can navigate through that entity and change any settings that is required. You can now also edit PDFs that have been uploaded to your engagement. When you open a PDF in your engagement, you can select the Copy URL button to copy the file URL. This URL can then be used to open the file in Adobe Acrobat, and once you have done edited the file, you can then save as the file to the same file pathway to sync the changes back into the ISRS Agreed-Upon Procedures app. You can now also set visibility conditions for individual quick list responses options from checklists and query. So within a checklist you can edit. After editing, you can go into settings of a procedure. After you've gone into settings of the procedure, you can override the checklist settings and then edit the response options. In the response options, you can then set visibilities on those response options and choose when a specific response option should be available and when not, based on the specified criteria that we have available. This then creates the ability to create much more dynamic response types, making sure that it's tailored per the engagement. You've also used this feature to now optimize your responses based on the selection within the Agreed-Upon Procedures engagements for property practitioners, others, and then legal practitioners coming a bit later. You can now also copy from another product within Casper Cloud to allow you to copy documents from any of the other engagements within the same entity. You can select which engagement you want to copy the documents from, and then select the specified document. So back into the document manager, I can go ahead, create a new document, choose copy from Casper Cloud. The available options will load in terms of the engagements that's been created for the specific entity, and I can then select the engagement I want to copy the information from. Now this is very important with ISAE attestation and ISRS Agreed-Upon Procedures now being so closely together. You can select your ISAE attestation engagement file if the engagement information has already been documented there. So let's say some of the procedures you've already agreed upon, or you need to agree upon, has already been performed in ISAE attestation. You can copy that work from attestation into ISRS Agreed-Upon, and then that can form part of the evidence that you have. So there we have the attestation beta webinar open, and I can go and select the information I want to bring into the ISRS Agreed-Upon Procedures app. And you can then select on OK, and the documents will then come over. We will also provide you with red warnings and engagement glossary defaults. So when the defaults are not met and you have not yet selected specific items, you will now receive a red warning at the top of the document to inform you that you have not yet responded. This is especially important in the reporting areas. So let's go and select the property practitioner, and I'll choose extended for now, and we can now see the property practitioner's report. So let's open the agreed upon procedures report and have a look. So there we can see the purpose of the report, and as there is information not completed, you will see that some of the information will indicate as such. And then lastly, you can now also create a new Word and Excel document directly from within the document manager. So when we are, you can click on the plus button on any one of the folders or groups and add a new Word or Excel document. Give it a number, give it a name, and then you can continue to create and complete the document from directly within the engagement. Let's move on to some of the fixes. First of all, assigning issues with an at or mentioning someone. So previously that did not always work the way in which we intended to, and the at did not always include someone. So if you click on the issues button, you can assign or mention someone in that specific issue, and if I want to include someone, I can type their name and it should bring up the list. So that did not always work, but we now made sure that that actually does work. And then lastly, within printing, we made some improvements within printing, alignment options within work programs and checklist, as well as some of the printing options within the reports. Okay, so let's move on to some of the content. So previously we did not have specific content within ISRS Agreed Upon, but we only had the ability for you to make your specific procedures that you will be agreed upon. But with the implementation date for the Property Practitioners Act of 2019, the PPA, and the Property Practitioners Regulation, the PPR, that was proclaimed on the 1st of February, the content in ISRS Agreed Upon is now updated based on the requirements of the PPA and the PPR, as well as the guidelines provided by the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, the PPRA. So the PPA now uses the term property practitioner in the place of estate agent. And if we look at the property practitioners trust account, the Independent Regulatory Board, Auditors, IRBAS Committee for Auditing Standards, the CFAS Committee, approved the illustrative regulatory reports on the Property Practitioner Trust Accounts Parts A and Parts B. So Part A is your reasonable assurance engagement that is already dealt with within ISAE attestation engagements. But then in relation to Part B, the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority agreed with the CFAS to give full effect to Section 54(5)(b) of the Property Practitioners Act and the Property Practitioners' role as a supervisory body in terms of the Financial Intelligence Centre Act. So the compliance within the specific requirements needs to be performed under the International Standards on Related Services 4400, which is an agreed upon procedures engagement. And these amendments now have all been included in the ISRS Agreed Upon Procedures application like we've seen now. So the Property Practitioners Cover Report summarizes the information in the different reports we need to report on. That is included in ISAE attestation, but the specific report in terms of the procedures that has to be performed has been included in terms of the ISRS Agreed Upon Procedures engagement. So in terms of the content that has then been included, in 105, your entity firm information, you now have the option to select property practitioner and complete the other information as you would have normally. That then brings up our engagement evaluation as well as formulation of agreed upon procedures that basically documents the procedures we need to do. So here we have our procedures documented from those illustrative reports that we need to report on specifically, and we have gone ahead and already documented the procedures for you. Just make sure that some of the information you need to communicate with someone specifically, or you need to insert some information, and we've indicated that as such. So after you've done that, that information, those formulation of agreed upon procedures will automatically pull into the engagement report, your engagement letter, sorry, not the engagement report, your engagement letter. So there we are agreeing the engagement information, and in terms of the engagement here we are agreeing which procedures we will be performing, and these then agree with the reports that has been approved by the UBA and CFAS. Once we've agreed those reports and all procedures, then we can go ahead and complete the work program. So those are automatically pulling through to the work program, again automated all the way through from formulation the procedures. So make sure that when you want to change a procedure, you change it in the formulation document, not in the engagement letter, not in the work program, because otherwise you will lose some of the automation. So you can go and document the information. We already pre-completed some of the information for you, and you can then just say whether any exceptions were noted or not. And after you've completed the work program, you will then go into the agreed upon procedures report. So we've already documented the report for you, and we will pull through the procedures together with the findings that you've documented in the work program, automatically making sure you don't miss any of the procedures. So there's the procedures documented, and here is our findings documented already, and these will then pull through from the work program. Also important, we also have to do the agreed upon procedures report to the Fidelity Fund, and there we have our procedures for the Fidelity Fund certificate then documented as well. So make sure that you complete all the relevant procedures within the formulation of the inquiries and the formulation of the procedures, and then complete your agreed upon procedures work program, which will then pull through to the report that you need to do both for the agreed upon procedures and then the Fidelity Fund. That brings us to the end of what's new in ISRS Agreed Upon. Thank you for watching.